have let him know that he would do that.
Everybody, welcome to the College Football Show presented by AT&T. Separation Saturday, whatever you want to call it. We are starting to get some clearer pictures in conferences across the country. Matt Sims, Skubie Mageza, I'm Sam Ravech. Great to have you with us. We have got a packed show for you. We were absolutely going to be talking about Miami, their undefeated season now over. Iowa State as well. What's going on in the Big 12? They've lost 2 straight.
Man.
Colorado, now almost could be in a tie for first place by the end of the night if things work out their way. I mean, it is just fascinating. But, in the conference where it supposedly just means more, it feels like it's rubber meets the road time with Alabama and LSU tonight in essentially a playoff eliminator. And with Alabama getting off to some slow starts in their losses, it was good to see them get out to a fast start in this game. And Jalen Milroe with a running touchdown to put them up 7-0. Here is a look at that rushing touchdown. It was a long, sustained drive. LSU has had some struggles with mobile quarterbacks, and Milroe getting comfortable early on in this one.
That boy moved quick.
Great blocking right there in the middle. It just hat for a hat, really pushing people around. You see the pancake right there. Well, he didn't quite get the pancake, but still moving big people out of the way right there for a good touchdown run.
I have a question. How imperative is it for Alabama to get off to a fast start in this game? Because based on the last 2 road games, that has not been a strength of theirs. You go back to the Vandy loss, they trailed 14-10. Tennessee, they were down 23-7. At one point in that game against Vanderbilt as well. So how crucial was it to get off to a fast start in this environment?
I mean, it's always important, especially when on their road, right? To just show that, like, hey, like, we're ready to play. We're locked in. Big-time game. And even though we've been waiting around at the hotel hanging out all day, we're ready to go.
Okay, so LSU is in the red zone, already in scoring territory.
Just called the timeout.
We got our people cooking up with exactly what's happening there. But, Sam, back to your question as why it's so important for them to get to a great start, because think back to Tennessee a few weeks ago. The Tide's first possession included a false start and a bobbled snap, resulting in a 3-and-out. And then Alabama committed a season-high 15 penalties in that game in one of the most craziest environments of college football. And that wasn't even as crazy as this. I don't know. Which one's crazier, Tennessee or LSU?
And don't ask me, man. Come on now.
I mean, you would know firsthand experience.
You would say Tennessee.
But that's the reason why a good start in this game is key. But then LSU gets the ball, and they drove right down the field, and here we are.
I mean, the biggest question mark for this football game in general is just what defense is actually going to make the big key turnover or stop when they need it. And we've seen this from LSU time and time again, right, in their 2 losses. They struggled to make that big play to kind of help their offense that moves the football well.
Second and goal.
Alabama has that same issue at times, too, when they've struggled.
And this is a pass-happy offense, a pass-first offense. They're going to hand it off here. And that's Williams, it looks like, getting stopped up at the line of scrimmage. So Alabama goes down. Jalen Milroe able to score early. For those of you who are tuning in on the ESPN College Football YouTube page, please engage with us. Skubie will be monitoring that throughout the entire show. When it comes to this offense, Maddie, and LSU, Nussmeier, the 20 touchdowns, the interceptions have been there as well. What are you going to be watching from him in this game?
I mean, really, just can he limit the big mistakes that he made? Our last sight of Nussmeier was the struggles in the second half versus Texas A&M, the 3 interceptions that really led to that comeback by Texas A&M.
But he dropped it.
This guy is, he can throw it. He is a pure pocket passer. If you give him any, just open lane to throw in, he can make those throws.
I mean, just look at this. He threw it in that open lane, as you just mentioned. If the wide receiver holds on to this, it's a touchdown. But a great defensive effort by the Alabama DB there. I can't see exactly whose name it is, but
forces a field goal.
These type of games, listen, the difference between 7 and 3 is everything.
You're right.
And the fact that Alabama was able to hold them to 3 points here is a win with the way LSU was driving down the field. There we go.
And again, we talked about it before we came on the air. LSU 13-0 in night games under that man right there, Brian Kelly, since he took over. Clearly not too happy with his team getting in the red zone there and not being able to convert and answer Alabama. He looked very happy when we saw him on game day earlier this morning, but yeah, not too pleased there with that. So 7-3, the start in this game. Alabama and Jalen Milroe able to score first, and then we saw the answer there with a field goal. We talk about the implications for this game.
Yep.
Essentially, the college football playoff starts tonight in Death Valley. I think we can say that with some certainty. Alabama wins, 74% chance to make the college football playoff, according to our friends at the All-State Playoff Predictor. The LSU, if they lose, their odds go down drastically. So, you know, in the race of the SEC, which is also up in the air, we talk about the Big 12 being a conference that has seen a lot of parity. The SEC has seen a ton. We saw Georgia go down earlier today.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot more on the line in terms of just Alabama and their legacy. Like they don't lose 3 games in a season.
Definitely.
Right?
And I think more so just perception, right, for this program, and really just how the fan base also perceives Kalen DeBoer in his first year. So, I mean, this is that ongoing just introduction into this new culture that he's trying to establish there post.
Yeah, they haven't lost 3 games in a season since 2010. So, to your point, Sam, it is something that this team just doesn't do. And now in this game, we're seeing a great offense versus bad defense, and that's for both sides of the ball. So it's going to be a lot of points, a lot of fireworks. I'm excited to see that. And speaking of a lot of points, we know how that Miami team is, right? They've put up a lot of points this season, and Georgia Tech was hosting them in the ACC matchup. We had a crazy ending to this game last year, and it was a crazy ending this year. Let's pick up in the first quarter, scoreless game. Jamal Haynes takes them down to the red zone. And leaves 2 broken ankles on the turf. 16-yard touchdown. That made it 7-0. But hold on. Miami's next possession. They say, anything you can do, we can do better. Ward hits Elijah Arroyo. And just like that, within the first 3 minutes of the game, guys, we have 2 touchdowns. That was a 74-yard touchdown to the crib. We're tied at 7. Second quarter. 3rd and goal for Georgia Tech. Haynes King hits Malik Rutherford, and he's running out there like he's covered in bacon grease. Get off of me. Touchdown. That was a 10-play, 75-yard drive that took 10 minutes. They up by 4 now. 3rd quarter, Georgia Tech. They were switching QBs throughout the game. They got Aaron Philo in here, and he taps in to do this. Chase Lane. Look at it.
That was one of 16 attempts through the air for the Georgia Tech quarterbacks in this game. This was a run-heavy game for the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, up double digits. So in the 3rd quarter, Miami says, we ain't done or finished. Isaiah Horton says, I'm feeling like scoring. Look at that. Just got the leg in. They cut the lead to 5 as Miami is trying to complete their 4th double-digit comeback of the season. So in the 4th quarter, Yellow Jackets say, psst, yeah. Haynes King keeps it himself. 20 carries, 93 yards, and this touchdown. He came in with a hurt throwing shoulder, so he used his legs. But Miami ain't new to this. They're true to this. Ward finds Xavier Restrepo. This is the leading receiver in Miami history, program history. 38-yard touchdown pass, 348 yards, and 3 touchdowns for Ward in the game. They trail by 5. But a little bit left time here. Ward trying to make a play. Sack, fumble. Under 2 minutes left. That was costly, Matt.
Yeah.
Costly.
It was, and really just no rhythm for this offense all day, and just their lack of production early on in the football game just continued to linger. Could never really create any rhythm for their passing game like they did in other games.
And just a smart play by Singleton Jr. here to put the nail in the coffin. We have an upset in the ACC. It marks the 2nd win over a 9-0 or better team in the AP poll for Georgia Tech as they beat Miami 28-23 the final. Look at the fans on the field. They were going crazy. Now we toss to Georgia Tech head coach Brent Keefe for some post-game sound.
What did Haynes King give you today?
He played. He played.
As you look around, what are you most proud of right now?
These kids. This school, Georgia Tech, the city of Atlanta.
Enjoy
All right, time now for Can't Take the Heat, built by the Home Depot. The Miami Hurricanes have been playing with their food all year long, and this time they got some food poisoning, thanks in large part to a heavy dose of run game by the Yellow Jackets of Georgia Tech. Guys, we have been conditioned to just expect that Miami has a comeback in them.
Yeah.
Because they have done it time and time again, whether it be against Cal, Louisville, Duke, they were behind. Virginia Tech,
right.
All of these games for Miami, they have been able to mount comebacks because of the quarterback in Cam Ward. Today, the chickens came home to roost, and Miami no longer undefeated. So, with that being said, what does this loss say about Miami, and what does it say about their hopes to go to the college football playoff now, Scoob?
It says exactly what we thought about Miami coming into this game, if you ask me. Miami had the #1 offense in the entire country. But when you talk about defensive efficiency rating, they were ranked 70th in the country, which to me says your defense was poor. Your defense couldn't really do much. And what they had to do was improve their defense overall in order to be a championship contender team. What have they done 3 times this season? They've had 3 double-digit comebacks, which has led to wins, and very squeaky wins. So now, Miami, you get against a team that slows down your offense, and you lose the game, and you've been playing with fire the whole season. So to me, Matt, that says you were messing around and you found out.
Yeah, I mean, the issue, there's so many things that we can go when we're talking about Miami.
Yeah.
And I guess the first part is we never saw any other aspect of this team really develop because it was just so easy for you to say, well, don't worry, Cam will get us out of it.
We'll figure it out.
Right?
Big fact.
And the defense, you know, for as many players that they have that you think are talented football players, just the open receivers in critical situations that Georgia Tech had open down the field, it's unbelievable how we have guys that are open in these big third down situations, right, against a team that's been run heavy. But to give up 270 yards on the ground, to go to be 9 of 14 conversion rate on third down for Georgia Tech, you know, to dominate time of possession, to be 4-4 in the red zone, you know, that's the most disappointing thing. And the fact that, you know, Damian Martinez is a really good running back.
Excellent.
You know how highly I think of him, and I think that he is going to be a guy that plays on Sundays for a good portion of time. And yet, we've never really seen them have the patience or the will to say, we're going to just run the football and control the game that way. And again, because Cam Ward and the skill group and Restrepo and George and all those guys, they make it too easy on them as play callers, and it really hindered their development as an overall football team.
Now we had a conversation.
Which is crazy to say.
It's nuts, yeah.
You know, like, and I know how it is, but like 31 versus Duke, 45 versus Louisville, 38 versus Cal, 34 versus Virginia Tech.
It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable, and we've seen what some of these other teams have done today, too, defensively, and the skill group that they have. And again, this is why I think sometimes people think that us in the ESPN world are biased to the SEC occasionally. Right?
One comment that Heather Dinich had on our Tuesday Rankings reaction show was, Miami is the best team that I don't trust.
Right.
And I felt that in my soul because the way that Miami was handling business was, it just wasn't sustainable. And when you look at what they needed to do to make the playoff, I said if they lost in the ACC title game, they still might not have a chance to make the playoff. And that was before this loss because who they had beat was not impressive yet.
Yeah.
And now those poor performances that you had have caught up to you. When you look at Miami and the way that they handle their business on defense, they came into this game with the 8th best rushing defense in the entire country. But teams weren't really running the ball on them. They were getting an average of 26 rushing attempts per game against them, which is by and large the second fewest in the country. So Georgia Tech came into the game and said, we're about to run this ball. Now let's take a look at what some of the things that we saw on the internet. Yeah, everyone was stunned by this. Down goes Miami. They can't handle a few Yellow Jackets. Undefeated season gone. We love seeing the U back, but seeing them lose like that is upsetting. But Sam, their path to the ACC title game now. Let's make it clear for the people out there to understand.
It's very, very narrow, and they need some help. They held their future in their own hands heading into the final 3 games of the regular season.
Yeah.
That no longer is the case. the scenario is they need SMU to either lose a game. They would also need Pitt to kind of lose a game and get out of there. They need some help. And if Pitt goes undefeated, now Pitt has to play Clemson the rest of the way. They have to play them, I think it's next week or in 2 weeks.
So Pitt will get Clemson, and then they'll get Louisville the following week. If Pitt wins out from this point on,
they're in. Yeah.
They are in the ACC title game because they close out with Boston College. Still, Boston College could get them, who knows. But if Pitt wins out, they get into the ACC title game, and Miami does not get into the ACC title game because they lose the tiebreaker with Pitt. And Pitt's only loss of the season, you see it, is SMU.
And Miami does finish the season up in Syracuse, New York, and that's not a game that I'm going to say is an easy game to go win either for the Hurricanes. I do want to ask you real quick, Maddie, if Georgia Tech has kind of given everybody else in the country the recipe to beating Miami. It seems like it was the same recipe to beating Florida State at the start of the year, and that was to just keep possession, grind it out on the ground. Georgia Tech had 35 minutes of possession in this game. Miami had 25. Your final thoughts on this whole Miami situation and what we are seeing as from a team from them?
I think you bring up a great point, and this is something that we saw even in the Kentucky-Ole Miss game earlier in the year, right?
Yeah.
Where a team was very aggressive and just being patient on the ground with their play calling, saying, we don't care if we're just getting 2 or 3 yards on the ground. We're just going to keep running the football. We're going to keep possessing the ball as much as we possibly can. Speed up the game, but also just take possessions and plays away from Cam Ward in that offense. And, you know, the biggest moments, I feel like, of the game were the start of the third quarter. Turnover on downs by Miami. Georgia Tech, 8-play, 61-yard drive. 21-10 is the score. Miami gets the ball back. They go 9 plays, 83 yards for the touchdown. So they get right back in to make it 21-16. But then they go for 2, which at that point, no. You do not do that. You kick the extra point, you take the points, because that's a momentum play that you are now giving back to Georgia Tech after driving the football the way that they did. But this is where Miami's defense did not respond. 9 plays, 75 yards to make it 28-16 lead. And from there, it was just too much for Miami to overcome at that point.
Yeah, and it's, again, Mario Cristobal is going to have to answer some questions this week. This is the second year in a row that Miami has lost to Georgia Tech. For those of you who are just joining us watching on YouTube, again, please engage with us in the comments. We will go back to Tiger Stadium to check in on Alabama and LSU in just a bit, but they are both looking up, LSU and Alabama, at Texas in the SEC standings. Let's check out what the Longhorns did today, coming off of a bye week. And, you know, the last time we saw Texas, there were certainly some questions against that Vanderbilt game where they won by 3. Quinn Ewers going to come out strong early, finding Matthew Golden, the Houston transfer wide receiver. He goes in for the touchdown to get Texas up 7-0 early. Now, after a Florida turnover, Ewers hitting the tight end Gunnar Helm over the middle. He rolls in for the touchdown.
Too easy.
Texas extending their lead to
off the fumble.
Two touchdowns. Train would keep on rolling in Austin in the second quarter. Quintavian Wisner goes in 50 yards to the house. Texas running backs fresh off the bye week. Texas rolling up 21-0. Ewers wasn't done. It kind of felt like this was a statement game for Quinn Ewers, Maddie, to kind of remind folks of the quarterback and the play action, the RPOs. Like, yeah, this is still a great quarterback.
Yeah, it's a solid quarterback, and really just the way that they dialed up the plays to go up against this Florida defense, I mean, it really was something special. It was a master class of how to pick apart a defense today.
It was. 562 yards of total offense for Texas. 277 yards after the catch as well. Isaiah Bond, a welcomed return after he missed a couple of games. Went down with that injury in the Georgia game, but he is back.
Georgia versus Ole Miss. Bulldogs have dominated this rivalry, winning 11 of the past 12 meetings. So let's get it started. First Ole Miss drive of the game. I see a lot of y'all in the YouTube chat talking about this game. Jackson Dart, coming off damn near a perfect game, gets picked off by Mr. Dean Jackson. I'm sorry, Mr. Dart. You got picked off. Dart would limp off the field. So, battle continues. Fast forward, 4th and goal. Georgia gives it to Nate Frazier. Gets a toss, and he gets into the end zone. Reservations for 6. They go up 7-0. Nice start, but Ole Miss would respond. Ulysses Bentley carrying people into the end zone. We got a tie game at 7. We move to the third quarter now. Ole Miss up 16-10. Dart. This is what he does. Find his wide receivers in the perfect spot. To I got Juice Wells. And just like Allstate, he got good hands, y'all. Ole Miss up 22-10. We jump ahead to the fourth. Georgia trying to get back in the game. Carson Beck, 11 interceptions on the year coming in.
Gotta have it here. Gotta have it.
Well, the team says that as well on Ole Miss. They gotta have it. Ole Miss gets a huge upset over the number 3 team in the country. This is the largest win versus an AP top 5 team for Ole Miss since 1969. What an absolute dub. Listen, Lane Kiffin, you finally got it done, my boy.
Yeah.
Got to
You
rush
finally
the field
got it
twice.
done, my boy.
Two times for the fans. They did
times.
it one time. They're like, you know what? Let's do it again, man.
So Ole Miss already 2 losses on the year, and I know they're kicking themselves with that Kentucky one, but now they're in a situation here where they've given themselves an opportunity, and that's all you can ask for. So with that said, Sam, how do you feel about their opportunity going?
I really like Ole Miss. I think we wrote them off after the Kentucky loss. We did that with a lot of teams. But Ole Miss has continued to prove that they are worthy of at least being in the conversation in the SEC. Think about the losses that they do have. I think Ole Miss has only trailed for like a minute of game time this year to Kentucky, and then the overtime loss to LSU on the field goal. Like they didn't trail at all in that game.
Right.
I thought it was really interesting. After Ole Miss lost to Georgia last year, guys, 52-17 was the score. They got blown off the field. After the game, Lane Kiffin went to the podium and he said, basically, we are not going to look the same way next year.
I love that you brought that
right?
up. Yep.
And they don't. But specifically on the defensive side, where they were able to create havoc all game long for Carson Beck, that was a nightmare back there for him today. And the defense is one of the reasons why I have more faith in this Ole Miss team. I don't think we had any doubts coming into the season about what Jackson Dart could do and his capabilities at the quarterback spot. The biggest question was, could the defense improve for Ole Miss? And Maddie, they certainly have.
Defensive line is super impressive.
They get the game back.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, so Ivy, Nolan, Umanalin, and what he does. I mean, just the physicality, the speed that they play with is tremendous. And it was just all game. And really, Georgia kind of just got hit with a team that is a reflection of what Kirby's been doing to others in the past. And that's what was so just, I think, awesome for Ole Miss fans to see this of like, yeah, that's right. Offense is great, but when we physically dominate other teams, it's even more empowering, you know? And that's really what SEC football is all about. And it really just, I just can't speak enough about how physically imposing they looked in comparison to Georgia. And Jackson Dart did great. Let's remind everybody, too, Austin Simmons and what he did in this football game. I mean, for him to come into the game and to go 5 for 6 for 64 yards and lead them down the field that ultimately led to Bentley's touchdown. Yeah. I mean, that was amazing for that young man to come in that situation against Georgia. It's raining. It's Georgia. I mean, and he really stepped up. So, you know, really major props to that young man for being able to do that and then allow Jackson Dart to get back into the football game.
Oh, it was all one up front.
Yeah.
A defensive front won the game. They came into this game against Georgia with the #1 sack defense in the entire country.
Yeah.
And not only that, they also led the nation in yards per rush given up, just a slightly over 2 yards that they were allowing per rush. And Georgia struggled to get anything going. Carson Beck sacked 5 times in this game, and that was with a standard pass rush. That's 4 or fewer rushers coming at him all game. And one thing we learned about Carson Beck throughout the season is when he has pressure in his face, he's not going to be able to make plays.
You can say that about any quarterback,
yes,
though. You know?
Which is very true. Which is very true, and I 100% agree with that. But he's made more mistakes to hurt his team when he's been pressured.
For sure.
15 of 38 dropbacks where he was pressured, and he once again threw an interception in this game.
When you look at Carson Beck, 12 interceptions over the last 6 games.
Yeah.
Do you see a quarterback that has lost confidence in himself or lost confidence in his wide receiver room? Like, it just does not feel like they are on the same page right now. And Carson Beck looks very uncomfortable back there. A lot of credit to Ole Miss and what they did today.
Yeah, I mean, you see these highlights right now, too. It's like he's on the ground a lot. There's a lot of bodies around him. And really, it's easy, I think, to blame Carson Right? Because he's the face kind of the franchise, and we discussed this going into the year. But the truth is, too, is that you're not as talented in the skill groups as you have been in the past. And your recipe for success is different now. And your defense isn't as dominant as it once was either. And let's remind everybody, too, at home, and let's not, because we don't talk about special teams enough on this show, and we're only talking about special teams when it's done poorly.
Yeah.
Davis, right, what he did today, kicking the football, 5 for 5 today.
That's
43, 53, 24, 32, 23. Like, 53-yarder in the rain like that, that was impressive. And that's what I think for Lane Kiffin, what a great sign. And the best win of his career by far. Not even close.
What does this mean? What does this mean for Lane Kiffin?
Offense, defense, special teams getting it done.
What does it mean for Lane, do you think, Scoob?
He's finally gotten over that hump, because you know who hasn't gotten over this hump? James Franklin, right? This is the most vulnerable.
A lot of similarities.
Wow.
A lot of similarities.
The most.
He just caught a stray.
I'm sorry, James, but this was the most vulnerable Georgia team that he has ever gone against.
Yeah.
And James Franklin faced the most vulnerable Ohio State team that he's ever gone against. But the difference is here that Lane Kiffin has an offense that can make plays. Lane Kiffin has a defense that can make plays, that is ranked up at the top of the country in terms of being able to get to the quarterback and being able to stop the run and being able to get downfield on the offensive side of the ball. And
a good kicking game.
Exactly.
That came through today.
So all of those things came up for Ole Miss in this game. And then, to your point, your backup QB is going to come in the game, handle things. When Jackson Dart deals with the ankle injury, you don't have Trey Harris, your best wide receiver, for another game, and you still find a way to win. This is huge for Ole Miss, but still need some help to be able to make the college football play.
And I'm not sure if I'm a huge fan either of just Georgia's offensive play design either.
Yeah.
I think it's really very basic, one-on-one football kind of stuff. We don't watch those highlights and then watch a team like Texas and say, wow, look what Texas is doing. They're getting their guys the football in space. They're being creative. They're running these double moves, these fake screens and goes and all these things. And then you watch Georgia and it's just all right, hey, we run an in-cut here, a flat, all right, inside zone. There's no play design that's layering the play for the next play, right? They're not setting up the defense by what they do. Whereas with Texas, you can see that there's there's a rhythm, there is a certain way that they put the plays together that's a symphony, right?
Yeah.
And in this way, Georgia does not do that. They don't play a beat that way.
Just to put an exclamation point on what you're saying about the weapons on the outside, Georgia has one receiver ranked in the top 25 in the SEC in receiving yards per game. One. Now, the scheme certainly
Is it Smith?
It's Arian Smith.
Yeah.
He's their leading receiver.
Okay.
So they have some issues in that department, no question about it. Another offense that you have been maybe skeptical about this season, or at least scheme-wise, has been your alma mater in Tennessee with what Josh Heupel has done.
Why
and
did you do
Nico
that to me?
Iamaleava, because, look, it hasn't, it's been a little bit of a struggle bus on offense.
But look at that,
Not
Sam.
yet tonight. Yeah, not yet. We
Look
got
at that.
a couple of touchdowns early against Mississippi State. First one, a Squirrel White, 34-yard touchdown.
Good old rocket
The
top,
second
baby.
one, Dante Thornton Jr. for 73 yards. So how about the offensive scheme now?
I mean, this is what we've been wanting to see from Tennessee and what we saw the first couple of games of the season when they were putting up historical numbers. Finally.
The deep
No,
ball.
you know what? Right there, great example of that. They've missed a lot of those downfield attempts all season. But what I love right there about Nico can throw it all the way out of the damn stadium if he needs to.
Yeah.
He gave his guy an opportunity to catch the football. He gave him that 50-50 op right there. And Thornton is the type of guy that can go up there and be physical and be strong and high point.
Yeah,
play.
that was their longest play from scrimmage this season for 73 yards, that touchdown to Thornton. So if you're Tennessee, you definitely want to start cooking at this point of the season. Hell of a play.
All right, guys, let's head on back over to Tiger Stadium, shall we, in Death Valley? Alabama and LSU. Alabama scored once again. It is 14-3 with the Tide up on the road, essentially in a college football playoff elimination game.
All right, Alabama averaging about 5.8 yards per carry between the tackles so far tonight. So that is not what you want to do if you're the LSU defense. But like I said, these offenses can make plays. These defenses not so much. There we go. Nice game.
Slinging one out to Taylor there, their tight end. Clock winding down here in the first quarter.
How did they get their second touchdown?
It's a great question. I think it might have gotten a rushing touchdown. We'll update you in just a second. But end of the first quarter, and Alabama out in front of LSU 14-3. Oh.
Man, it looks like the rain's coming down even more so than before, too. Yeah, so that really doesn't help a pass-happy football team in LSU that way.
All right, here's a look at the touchdown. I believe it was Justice Haynes, one of the running backs, that ran it in for a little short 1-yard score here. Here's a look at it. That's Justice Haynes there.
Hey, that's what you want.
Good light drive right there, player.
So Alabama in this game, when you look at the comparison, 150 total yards for the Tide, 62 for LSU so far. Garrett Nussmeier, again, this is a pass-first offense for LSU. And Nussmeier, just 1 for 4.
Yeah, that last drive, too, 8 plays, 75 yards, 4 minutes off the clock right there, ending with that Justice Haynes run. So it's, you know, that's exactly what, you know, you worry about for LSU in this football game is those long drives where they're just kind of moving the football and just being aggressive with some of their runs that way. So that's not a good sign right now for this LSU defense.
Yeah, time of possession is huge in this game, and it's already leaning really heavily towards Alabama. 11 minutes of time of possession versus the 3 minutes of some change for LSU. So if they could continue to push for that on the road in this type of game, that is really beneficial for whatever you're trying to do. Because, listen, possessions are going to come at a premium in this type of environment. So Alabama, continue to do what you need to do. And we also wanted to see what Indiana could do in their game against Michigan, because we're so hyped up on this team with the way that they've been crushing things, beating everybody by a lot of points. I mean, they're one of 2 FBS teams that have scored 31 points or more in every game. So they're trying to stay undefeated. And on their second drive of the game, Curtis Rourke hits Amari Cooper Jr. with a strong grab. That was a great throw, great catch, second quarter. Rourke throws it deep to Elijah Surratt. That's a 36-yard touchdown. Indiana leads 14-3. They take a 17-3 lead at halftime, and it was a one-sided ball game. Take a look at the numbers here when you talk about yardage. Total yardage for Indiana, 228. Passing yards, 190. They had already turned Michigan over, and we thought we were on our way to another 44-6 type of game.
Yeah.
But in the second half, Michigan put on the clamps. We go to the fourth quarter of this game. Michigan has it on 4th and goal on the 1-yard line. Mullings cranks that thing like Soulja Boy and use into the end zone. 2-point conversion would fail, though. It's 17-15 Indiana. We fast forward where we got under 2 minutes left in the game. Michigan down 5. It's 4th and 10. Warren, you gotta have him, my boy. Hits Payne O'Leary, tries to make a move, but he's short. It's a game of inches.
Man.
Indiana takes over on downs. They go on to win it 20-15. You see it right there. It was really short. This win is huge because Indiana gets one over a solid Big Ten opponent. Yeah. All that may be against a team that really can't do much on offense, but a win is a win, right?
No, I mean, it's more so, too, just like the mental aspect of it, you know, because it really is, for Indiana, like, that's Big Brother. And for the long time growing up, you know, even, hey, I could put my brother probably in a headlock right now, but he's still my big bro, and he probably could, like, mind game me out of that situation. You know what I mean?
I don't think he'd like that much.
Yeah, no. So it's like, that's the thing with Indiana. Like, this was Big Bro, and you did it.
Yeah.
You did it. You beat Big Bro.
Right.
So now it's like, man, I think this is another layer that's kind of, like, lifted off of their shoulders of, like, wow, we finally beat a team that we've only beaten once in the past 28 attempts.
I think, to me, this is the most impressive win for Indiana. Albeit the ugliest game that they've played.
I know exactly what you mean, and I agree. Yeah.
I don't even have to finish it because the ability to win close games. They haven't played in these close games. They have not been pushed. It was ugly. It wasn't pretty. There are players on this Indiana team that I guarantee you, they're not nationally known players either.
Right.
And they are the true definition of a team. On offense and on defense, they rely on multitude of different players. And they have a quarterback in Curtis Rourke that I don't think a lot of people know on the national scale, Matty.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's time that we start talking about him as a potential Heisman candidate.
Ring that bell, Sam. I love that you brought that up. For him to be a Heisman candidate. I mean, not the sexiest performance today, but it got the job done for sure. Because Indiana in the second half, let's be real, 18 total yards. Right after leading 17-3.
You're bringing up dude for Heisman. He was 3 of 10 in a pick in the second half.
I get it.
I get it. But he's the leader of a team that is 10-0. We're talking about the losingest program in the Big Ten beating the winningest program in the Big Ten. So now you have an opportunity here to move up in the rankings when they release when the College Football Playoff Committee releases them. And Matt, I don't know, where would you see Indiana climb up at this point after their win against Michigan?
Yeah, I don't really know if this game really does do that much for them as far as moving up the ladder, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it makes us feel better because we're a team that, like, hey, why would we doubt a team like Indiana who just keeps getting it done?
Yeah.
We gave that grace, I think, to Miami, even though their wins were, I feel like, much tighter and more stressful. But because of the way that they did it with their finesse and the high-flying throwing ability of Cam Ward, you know, it's valued, I think, a little bit differently. And again, we are going back to like that institutional thought process too with Indiana, where we don't know them as a good program.
Yeah.
So no one's going to buy into that yet. And I think a lot of people out there, because it's Georgia or, you know, some of these other schools, like, they're going to get the benefit of the doubt a little bit longer, but everything will change when Indiana and Ohio State line up.
All right.
And we'll finally actually know the answer to these questions.
Real quick, before we move on, two sides of the coin here, right?
Yeah.
Indiana at this point is essentially a lock for the playoffs, I would say, because their next game is against Ohio State, right? They lose that game, that's one loss. We see a lot of teams with one loss on their schedule at this point.
Right.
But then they close out their season against Purdue, who's basically been the Big Ten doormat. Mm-hmm. And now on the other side of this, Michigan.
Spoiler makers.
Yeah.
You have 2 games left, Michigan. 2 to make a bowl game. You are now at 5 wins.
He did it.
All right? You're at 5 wins. You know who you got? Ohio State on your schedule, and then you got Northwestern. So, Michigan, the time is now. We are watching. You won the national championship last year. The offense has been abysmal. And at this rate, you continue to disappoint your fans. My producer, Chris, I'm sorry, Chris, that you have to watch this because he's a diehard Michigan fan. So I say to you, Michigan, just one more. Northwestern. That's all you got to beat. That's all you got to do. All right. Speaking of another team,
I mean, is that
winning.
the biggest drop off though in 1 year though? If they were to not make a bowl, to go from national champion to not a bowl, I mean, has that ever happened in the history of the sport?
Well, it's a good. I'm glad you brought it up.
I'm asking that.
Wow, you have a note?
I might have a note. I might have to go back.
But it is amazing that Skubie
TCU,
predicted this a few weeks ago. TCU, that's right.
Did they?
It's just amazing.
They were close.
A year ago, Michigan went 15-0.
Yeah.
Indiana went 3-9. And it's just like
upside down, bro.
What is it? What is it? What is it that I always tell you?
Coaching matters, man.
Coaching matters.
Coaching matters.
It matters.
Well,
it's not. It doesn't matter. It's everything.
I'm glad you bring up coaching because Deion Sanders has been coaching the heck out of the Colorado Buffaloes. Prime time down at Texas Tech in Lubbock. There were some tortillas getting thrown around.
Of course it was.
Colorado favored in each of their next 3 games. Look at what Travis Hunter does. First play of the game, he goes, picks up the tortilla, says, I will save that for later. And, here we go. Play on. Now into the real action.
I love that.
PB&J sandwich in his helmet.
Baron Morin dumping one off to Jalen Conyers, takes it in for the 17-yard score. Flag of the play wouldn't matter. Tortillas go flying. Texas Tech up on the board first. They would go up 13-0 in this game, but here comes LaJohntay Webster down the sideline, tiptoeing into the end zone. Buffs right back in at 13-7. This team has no quit.
Electric with the football in his hand, too. I mean, look at the acceleration down the sideline and then the balance. It's amazing.
All right, now we go into the third gear. Time now for Shador to take it himself.
Shador by Dior.
Scoob was doing the Shador dance after the touchdown.
All you got to do is throw up the wrist. Show him the wrist work. Show him the wrist work.
Taj Brooks pitched to the right side. Taj had a bit of a quiet game here in this one.
Hey, Texas Tech was able to make this a game toward the end, but look at this grab here. Ooh, Hey, Shedeur just puts it in the perfect spot. It doesn't get any better than that. It doesn't get any better than that.
Will Shepherd with an amazing grab there. And then here comes Colorado, 24-20. Travis Hunter, who just flies into the end zone to extend the lead.
Looks pretty fresh. And that's what's so amazing about this team is that, I don't know what Deion does during the week, but, man, they look fast today on the football field.
Colorado, don't look now, but they are right near the top of the Big 12 standings and absolutely in the hunt to play in the Big 12 title game. Shedeur, 291 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and a rushing touchdown. Travis Hunter just a yard shy of yet another 100-yard receiving game. Man, guys, I mean, Colorado, this is a team that you can no longer say that Colorado is just in it for the clicks. This is a legit football team that is in the conversation for the college football playoff.
All right, hold on. Before we let Scoob go, because this is his team,
yes,
right?
This is his team. Yeah.
Amari McNeil, right? Hill Green, Bentley. These are 3 guys on the defensive side of the football that are playing really good physical football for this unit, getting after the quarterback, big hits, playing hard to go along with Travis Hunter in the back end. So it's like the defense, too, to me, is something that, we have to start recognizing. I didn't want to do it earlier in the year.
No.
I was like, I kind of need to see it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But we saw it again today, just there's a physical toughness and attitude to the defense that I think was missing a year ago that now they have this
and
year.
Rob Livingston, who they brought in, had never called a play
exactly
before.
where I was going to go.
He was at the Bengals secondary.
And Warren Sapp as the defensive line coach. You think he's talking about being tough and getting after it? I mean, this dude is one of the best defensive linemen in the history of the game. So
let's clear the floor. Let's clear the floor for Scoob. I got to hear it. I got to hear it.
And that's the thing that Deion Sanders
matters.
did really well. There was 2 things that he did this offseason that helped Colorado a lot. You bring in veteran transfers. It wasn't just going for 3 and 4 stars.
Yeah.
He did what Indiana did. Let me bring in some OGs, some guys who have some experience and understand what it takes to win and want to play for the team.
Right.
And then Deion is going to put his personality and the way that he knows how to galvanize and motivate those players into them. Yeah. So that's what he ended up doing there. And then he brings in the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinators. You bring in coordinators who understand what it is that you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish. And it has simplified everything. And when you watch Colorado with how they play, they have more faith. In the defense, in the offensive line, and everything else they're trying to do. They were down 13-0 in this game.
Yeah.
13-0. To come back from that and win 41-27, that is a solid football team that is now in Big 12 contention because Iowa State got smacked by Kansas, which now brings Colorado into sole possession of second place.
Yeah, well, I mean, how quickly the tides can turn. See what Iowa State did. Look, 2 weeks ago, this team was undefeated.
Yeah.
They were sitting at 4-0 in conference play and looking like a shoo-in for the Big 12 title game. Nuh-uh. 2 weeks later, the Cyclones have spun themselves down the table and are firmly out of the Big 12 championship hunt. It was only a matter of time, by the way, until Kansas was finally going to
You know what would be a sick matchup for the college football playoff?
What's that?
Which would be very tough now, and obviously I don't know what the chances of it are. But it would be great if, a non-Power 4 team got the 4 spot, and we saw a first-round matchup of Miami, Colorado.
Oh, my God.
I mean, now, is that possible? No, because,
No.
I mean, but still, I would love to see that first-round matchup.
There's going to be a lot of interesting matchups.
As a football fan.
Yeah, I hear you.
So possibilities are limited, but, yeah.
Deion Sanders in Dallas for the Big 12 championship game.
Oh, man.
I mean, does it get better than that?
Is he the future head coach of the Dallas Cowboys?
There we go.
Yeah.
It's the rumor's going to start flying.
Or maybe the Las Vegas Raiders.
That's what we think of it.
One of them. Who knows?
I don't know.
Well, it's never too early for draft season. Our friends at the First Draft Podcast, Mike Greenberg, Mel Kiper Jr., and Field Yates will have you NFL draft experts in no time. Head on over to the NFL on ESPN YouTube channel on Thursdays at noon Eastern time to get a pulse on the hottest college football prospects. Speaking of the NFL draft, it is now time for the playbook.
Can you believe
presented by Modelo. I know, yes. Joey G subs in as
Our
producer.
producer.
One week, and all of a sudden we are
Unbelievable.
off the rails.
That's his show, and he's putting it on our show. I mean, look at that guy trying to sneak that in there like that.
It was Quinn Ewer's show against
Yes.
Georgia today. Look, there was some noise. Quinn, 4 interceptions over the last 3 games. Coming out of a bye, wanted to see what Sark would be able to draw up on this offense. And early on, Quinn looked very comfortable.
What did we draw up here? All right, here. hang with me now, Sammy.
Okay.
A lot of stuff going on here with this play. We're going to send a guy in motion here. So we start in a bunch formation. We send a guy in motion across. So now we end up in a 2x2 condensed formation. Then from there, we're going to fake a reverse, all right, to the guy that we're sending in motion. But we're going to pull a guard, all right? We're going to block down with the receiver. We're going to fake the reverse, then fake inside zone to the running back. And then we're going to actually toss the ball to the second reverse man coming around. And as we can see through this play, see all the communication here in the background right here by this Florida defense? That's not a good sign. A lot of communication, a lot of stuff going on. The ball has been snapped, and we're still trying to figure out how to play this out. They snap the football, fake the reverse, fake the handoff, fake the second reverse. I mean, it's unbelievable all the moving parts to this. And what we do is we get Isaiah Bond in a huge amount of space around the defense, and he's not touched until about 20 yards down the field. But this is what I love about this. All the moving parts, the patience, and think about Quinn Ewers too, how he has to trust himself spinning around like a whirling dervish here, right? And then tossing the football. But you see all the defenders here for Florida, no idea where the football is because he had his back turned to the defense. No idea where the football is because he has his back turned to the defense. And after all of that stuff, we get the tight end now leading the way with that fake reverse man blocking down the field. Tremendous play call, and just love, that's how you start the football game to get your team confidence.
And it's a player that they've been missing too. Like, you're missing some pieces against Vanderbilt. Isaiah Bond was one of those players. And when this Texas offense is playing at their best, it feels like you have a lot of motion, and it just opens up the passing game for Quinn.
It does, and we're going to go to a concept here that we have seen multiple times. We've broken down similar concepts like this when Arch was starting, right? Now Quinn's back in. We're going to see a late motion here by the halfback out to the flat. We're going to try to sell some sort of halfback screen with the two blockers out here leading the way for them. But it's all eye candy. It's all eye candy to make this Florida defense overcommit to this receiver running back screen. But what we get for the play design is we're going to get a switch release. So he's going to go inside and then break for a post. We're going to get a switch and go down here on the sideline. Quinn is going to look here to the left, pump, make that defense overcommit to the flat, and then watch as this play goes. You can see that the corner here is locked up with this outside receiver, but he has safety help here. But again, let's look at this. Here we go, the play. Still communicating at the last second before the snap. Look at the eye discipline by the Florida defense. It's all over the place, and this is why we get people wide open down the field for the number 5 team in the country who has no problem doing these things against defenses that have trouble communicating. And here's the back end zone clip of it. You see right here, Quinn, I mean, this is as open as it gets in any level of football. Really well-timed call there. Great setup call again that we've seen Sark go to multiple times.
And all these skill position players get involved. 8 passes completed to different receivers throughout the course of the day. Golden, the transfer from Houston, has been a huge piece to this offense. He came up big again today with a couple touchdowns.
Yeah, and a point that you guys made to me during the game is Quinn, you know, throughout the season hasn't been throwing the football down the field as effectively as he would like. But in this game, really exciting to see that they did push the football down the field at times when they had opportunities. This is a really cool play design that I feel like I could talk about for days here. But we're going to see for the defense, we got a 4-down look. At the last second, they're going to shift, and now they have essentially 6 defensive players at the line of scrimmage. Young quarterbacks out there right here. Here is the nickel backer right here. The depth of the nickel tells you if you are going to get pressure. So what's the depth here, Sam? Pretty tight to the line of scrimmage. With the safety back here, topped, right, layered over the top of this nickel backer. So we should expect this guy is going to blitz. But I want you to see, with this confusion here on the defensive line, or the confusion of like all these guys lining up on the defensive line, look how well the Texas offensive line communicates through this play. So we're not going to go into the play design yet. Let's just talk about the protection aspect of it. So we thought we were going to get 6-man rush. It ends up only being 4. These guys had to respect the guard, center, tackle here to the left side, had to respect those 3 guys on that line of the scrimmage. So you see their eyes are looking over here. But as the play goes out, watch as they quickly reset back into this opposite fire zone pressure and really do a great job of protecting their quarterback, giving him a clean pocket, including the running back getting in on that action to throw this touchdown down the field. And now let's go to the actual play design here. All right, we'll get into the X's and O's of the actual design of it. So we're going to skip because we got the motion. It started in his bunch formation here. Gunnar Helm was here. He motioned out outside. As we got that motion, the corner went from a press alignment to them being soft and off. The communication on the back end here, because we're getting this fire zone to the field here, we get cover 3 coverage on the back end for Florida. Now, what's really cool, in typical formations like this with this condensed look, 2 receivers, this corner's thinking, all right, I got to stay as wide as the widest, right, who is the tight end in this situation, but I have speed at the slot here in this position. He has never seen once the slot all year go vertical and then break out to him and then go to another vertical route. So this is a great play design to expose a corner who is not used to seeing this release point. And great job by Quinn Ewers buying time, seeing the safety sloughed off to the middle of the field and then throwing it up over the corner's head. Really good play design, great execution. And you can see right here that shifting in motion, the communication again. Safety goes to the middle of the field. This corner is all by himself, one-on-one in that situation. And he has never seen a play like that ever. So it's checkers versus chess in this situation.
Look, a really tough. Really,
I broke that down.
You did. Well done, Matty. Really tough spot for Florida coming off the Georgia game and then Texas coming off the bye. But it was good. I think Texas fans happy to see the team that hadn't scored more than 30 points in the last 2 games. They put up 35 in the first half. So
it was impressive.
Really well done by Coach Sark and this Texas team. That was the playbook presented by Modelo.
Appreciate your patience.
Excellent work.
I was rolling.
All right, time now for Game-Changing Connection presented by AT&T. We're going to look at some of the best from Week 11 as Matty catches his breath. We're going to start with a little homage to the Fighting Pat McAfees here of West Virginia, applying pressure and then picked off. The benefactor, Anthony Wilson Jr., puts the hammer down, and he takes it all the way back to the house. Mountaineers sitting at 4-2 after back-to-back wins in a topsy-turvy Big 12.
Yeah, this was a fun game to watch all day. A lot of big plays. Yeah, a lot of action in this one. Really exciting.
We doing, baby? You can't be making those type of plays, but that was a connection that you made with the defense. Now we're going to go to another connection. It was Texas State and UL Monroe. And sometimes the connection between running back and QB is so good, it fakes out the cameraman. Yes, you see it. Jordan McLeod fakes the RPO there and hits Cole Wilson for the long touchdown. I mean, that's some great design. Here's another look at it where the cameraman isn't faked out. Yep. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Got him.
We had a lot of fakes today, whether it was Quinn Ewers, that Texas offense, people faking out the cameras. Miami may be faking everybody out as far as how good they are this year. But let's check out what's going on in the Ivy League. The Big Red of Cornell pulled a fake punt against Penn. I thought these are the smartest folks in the entire country, and they're getting fooled by fake punts.
Oh, great acting right there by the punter. Selling the old Ole there over the top. Great job.
Andy Bernard would be very proud.
All right, let's go to La Tech, Jacksonville State. This is the type of play you see on NFL Street. True Edwards. Yes, Matt, that was a behind-the-back, in-your-face catch, and we're going to the crib. That is True Edwards, 86-yard touchdown, and what was definitely the best play of the week.
That was
insane.
That was true, not false. That was very true.
Ooh, I see what you did there. You were sneaky one.
The Navy midshipman, quarterback Blake Horvath gets crunched, absolutely crunched by Jalen Schuler. Coughs up the football. USF would be able to get a couple of points out of this, but it would be Navy bouncing back after a couple of losses to win it 28-7. A couple of really tough losses for Navy. Started against Notre Dame.
Yep. Liberty, Middle Tennessee. Julian Gray on the reverse. And he's too fast, too furious. Man, he's too fast for y'all. Liberty would end up winning this one 37-17. Gray just turned on the Jets on this trick play. Well done, my guy.
All right, outside of Boise State, the Army Black Knights have the second best odds to make the playoff out of the group of 5. They took a trip down to Denton, Texas to take on North Texas today, put their winning streak on the line, winning 8 in a row to start the season. Bryson Daly also returning after missing the Air Force win. He got them out to an early 7-3 lead. We go to the fourth quarter here. This Army possession, 21 plays, 94 yards.
My
took almost
goodness.
14 minutes of game clock. Daly once again barreling in for the touchdown. Army out to a 14-3 lead. 2 minutes left in the game. Second and goal for North Texas. Chandler Morris sends one into the end zone. It was picked off by Jarrell Dixon. And Army goes on to win 9-0 to start. They extend the nation's longest winning streak to 13, going back to last year as well. So Army and Bryson Daly, I mean, this is a really fun team to watch. And he's got, what, like 19 rushing touchdowns coming into this game? He added a couple more.
Not even fair.
I mean, like, the only person with more touchdowns in the country, I think, is Ashton Genty.
One
rushing touchdowns.
One thing about Army that I continue to watch with this team is how much they're in control of the game throughout the entirety of it. That's on offense or on defense. And then for North Texas, I mean, this is an opponent that scored the average 40.8 points the first 8 games of the season, and then they come in and take on Army, and they only put up 3. Now, looking ahead, I think what Army just did made this next matchup even better. We got Notre Dame versus Army. And correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, but is that in Yankee Stadium?
I believe that one is, yes, December 14th. That's after Selection Sunday, too.
So I mean, you
this
talk
is
about
going to be a
great
different
matchup.
game. This is going to be a different game than Notre Dame Navy. I think Army is a tougher football team that way. I'm sorry, Navy, please. All right, but I just think that, like, physically they're a little bit more, like, comfortable in this type of matchup. And I think, too, just like their leadership of Daly. I mean, when I'm watching the game, you know, you heard me, it's like, hey, it's Johnny Bravo, man. Like, hoo-ha! Like, he's got it, man. And it's just like, it's like Captain America at quarterback. And I just feel like their physicality in which they play on the defense side of the football will really be kind of their saving grace against a very physical, run-heavy football team in Notre Dame.
Speaking of Captain America, we here at the College Football Show, everybody behind the scenes working on the show, we would all love to tip our caps, proverbial caps, to all of our veterans who have served and continue to serve our country, all the sacrifices that they make on a daily basis so that we here can talk about college football every Saturday. So thank you very much to all the veterans out there that continue to serve our wonderful country. I'd like to thank my grandfather who served in the Army as well. Anybody, any shout-outs here?
My grandfather as well, who served in the Army and then also was a bombardier in World War II.
Wow.
So shout out to him. You know, David, we love you, and we thank you so much for your service for our country. There isn't, like, weeks that go by where I don't think about just what he did and shot down in action.
Wow.
Yeah, in enemy territory, you know, in Egypt, you know, when he was fighting the Germans over there, and somehow miraculously found his way back to his fellow, you know, troops. So unbelievable, man. So yeah, thank you, you know, to the gentlemen like him that were able to do those things for our country.
Yeah, and also this Saturday feels a little bit morose. We are mourning in the college football world, especially at ESPN, for our good friend Ben, Kirk Herbstreit's dog, who passed away. We lost the best boy, America's best friend, Ben Herbstreit, tonight. Make sure that you hug, kiss, love on your dogs because, as Kirk said in his wonderful essay that he had on College Game Day, the only flaw that dogs have is that they do not live long enough. Yeah. That is the only flaw to that species. And as you can see behind us, we have collected and gathered, all of us on the College Football Show, some beautiful pictures of us and our furry friends. Scoop, we got Scrappy back there in a Patriots jersey.
Scrappy, yeah.
So we are sending all of our thoughts, of course, to Kirk Herbstreit and his entire family. And
there's Wilson Dede.
We know that Ben will be missed sorely.
Yeah, I got to interact with Ben at the Rose Bowl last year. I think we all did, and he was such a sweet boy. I remember Matt and I were just going to grab some lunch together, and Kirk was downstairs waiting to get a table with Ben, and I just looked at Kirk. I was like, "Hey, can I pet him?" And he was like, "Yeah, for sure, go ahead."
I was there for this moment,
and I was so excited to pet Ben. And
Scooby could care less about Kirk. He was like, "Hey, is that Ben?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah."
Literally my first time even talking to Kirk, and I was like, "Hey, can I pet Ben?" He's like, "Yeah, for sure." And as he said in his essay, Ben, with a big smile on his face, his tail wagging, let me pet him, and he just embraced me as a stranger.
I'm looking at Kirk. I'm like, yeah, like that's my friend Scooby. Like, hope you don't mind, man.
Big dog guy. R.I.P. Ben.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing us love in this world.
But yeah, Ben will certainly be missed. And you know, as we look forward now, guys, too, We will end the show in just a bit, but we do want to remind folks to tune in Tuesday night. We will be on for another rankings reaction show at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Same place you're watching now on the ESPN College Football Show, so make sure to tune in there. That will do it for us. That'll do it for Week 11. A lot of great games coming up later tonight as well, so stay tuned on the ESPN family of networks for those. For Matt Sims, Skubie Mageza, and our entire crew, I am Sam Ravech saying so long. Thank you so much for watching the College Football Show presented by AT&T.
Peace.